Alright, we are recording. Oh yeah, first things first, NGC3324. It is the Hubble image. It's also James Webb Telescope image. I kind of like the Hubble one better. At least it's the general background that I use, especially for videos like this that are more just me talking. Yeah. Sorry for those of you that you are correct. I need to work on notes. I need to work on using scripts. I just feel like the nature of this video, it's better if I'm more off the cuff. Which is, as the title says, just write it. And the reason why I'm urging those of you, not that anyone watches these, at least not many, that if you have an idea for a story, seriously, just sit down and write it, alright? I mean, you got a keyboard, you got a computer, even just a basic text file if you don't have access to something like Microsoft Word, but there's LibreOffice, that's a whole nother video. Things like LibreOffice, there's plenty of tools you can use to write. Just sit down and start writing. Or even just notes, but sit down and start writing it. Take that time, make the time. Because you never really know where those skills you will develop, where those experiences you develop from writing will come into play. And the reason why I decided to record this video now, because I had the idea a bit ago, but the reason why I decided to do it now is for a parallel experience. It's not directly related at all to my writing, but it still is very much an experience that I have had this week with where I work, where because I chose to develop an experience that technically doesn't align with why I work there, my official role is for quality assurance. But because we work with SQL databases, I've been learning SQL for a while. I've actually been using a SQLite database for a long time now for tracking various things. And, it's just, and doing some small stuff there, but we use SQL quite a bit with work, so it's figuring that out is very useful there. And I spent this week mainly focused on just doing analytics stuff. So by that I mean we've got various things that are recorded in database. We needed to spit out some analytics on there, and this wasn't just a trivial, anyone who knows a little bit of SQL could go in and do this, because we've got some data, and this is actually an accurate way to put it, some data that's stored this way, some data that's stored this way, and I needed to figure out how to do that. And I didn't even think it would work on Monday, but it did work, where I managed to figure out a way to get and it's kind of weird to leave my fingers, there we go, when the hands are in opposite directions. I managed to actually do that, to get them to all come together, so that we could run those analytic reports without being too crazy. And then I actually spent the week not only running those reports, but building up general queries, so that we can copy and paste out of those to build up any query we want. But yeah, and it was one of those, there was no reason for me to have that experience, to have that skill, the SQL stuff, because that's not my official role. It's a small company though, so we have many hats and all that, but it still is. Take the time. If you've got an idea to try something like writing a story, the main emphasis here, but in general, if you've got, an interest in trying something new that would be, you have no experience, you have no skill for it, you don't even have a background in it, what's stopping you? I mean, seriously, there's no reason to for that to stop you. I mean, it's like, I've written five novels, technically 2 short stories that I never talk about. Neither of them are all that good. That's part of the reason why. But they are, if you are interested, they are $1 on Amazon for the Kindle, and only the Kindle. Technically I have another short story that I should rewrite, that I've never put out anyway. But anyhow. I've written 5 novels, and I'm working on a 6th. I have no background in writing. At least in one video I very much mentioned, I took 1 English class in college, because that's all I needed. 1 directly English class in college. That was 15 years ago. That's it. And yet, I'm working on novel 6. Why should I be stopped because I don't have that background in literature? There's no reason for that. There's no reason for you to be stopped either. If you have a story you want to write, sit down and write. If you want to start making videos on YouTube, I mean, it's I'm using the camera on my laptop. I am using a nicer This is the USB audio interface going to a nicer mic up here. But, I mean, it's like the laptop also has a microphone. I can turn that on. It's currently off. Use your phone. An old phone. If you have a cheap webcam, I don't. I used to, but it was very cheap and it doesn't work anymore, so got rid of that. It's like, if you want to do that, go and do it. What's stopping you? I mean, what is the worst that could happen? Maybe you'll severely embarrass yourself. Well, you also don't need to put anything out until you're happy with it, so you can avoid that. I mean, it's, just don't be dumb with it. But then, of course, maybe some of the stuff, being dumb is exactly what you want to do. Just do it. You never know those experiences. And it's also, like, here's one example with the whole video stuff. Maybe you're not good at public speaking. I got myself out of that fear many years ago. Not this way, but right now, where am I? I'm in my room. I am alone. There's no one around me. All right? I just have that camera that I'm looking at. That's it. I'm not talking to the public. I mean, I know I am, but it's like, for my experience right here, I'm not. Maybe that's, I could see some people that's a way, getting on YouTube, making videos, that's a way for them to get through it. Maybe that's an experience that would help them. Or maybe it's something where they're working, hey, it comes up, we need somebody who's comfortable with a camera, comfortable with a microphone. Hey, you've got that experience now. You never know where these skills, where these experiences will come in handy. Now, true, I didn't know where the sequel experience would come in handy at work, but it's still, you never know how valuable it may prove to be, because technically that stuff, I'm not the only one there that knows SQL. Not even close. But what I built, they could still take a while to go through and figure out exactly what I did. And what I did bring to the company that very much I brought to the company because of my writing and other things, but mainly because of my writing, is LaTeX. We use LaTeX in our product, and it's like very important there. And it's like, why is that there? Because of me. Because I had a familiarity with it for other uses. I saw it could be used here. We tried it. It works great. And lets us do things that we couldn't normally do. Right? I mean, it's like, it's very valuable to just stop and take the time and try these new things. Now, coming back to the whole just write it, write these stories, because what I've given you are more practical, more professional examples of skills and experiences that you might not think are immediately relevant, but end up being. But there's also, when writing stories, it can be more personal thing. Now, I know some people can talk about, working through issues by writing, by telling a story and lets them work through their own issues. I cannot say that is true for me. I mean, kind of, but also not. I mean, it's one of those, maybe indirectly or maybe contributing. It helped me get through some stuff years ago. And that was more so, I mean, it was on the second book. And it's funny, after I'd finished writing it, and like before I started editing on Failure, is when some things started clicking for me. I guess would be the way to put it. And I'm just losing my train of thought a little bit. But it's still, I don't thank the book for that. Maybe a little bit, but it did kind of allow me to just stop and think about, essentially, what character, if I must relate to a book, what character do I want to be in the future? Or what character do I want to be personally? Just do I want to be described this way or this way? And, having that thought, it's like, oh, yeah, I'd rather be this than that. So it's like, sort of thinking about that and trying to be that. And but I mean, that's not, it's not like writing through the book got me through that. It's just writing experience did kind of. I know that I don't want to get specific on that stuff. But it still is, for me, because I have that other video, relationships with your characters. That can be very helpful as well, because like when I make these characters, they are my friends, even the bad guys. They are my brothers, my sisters, my sons, my daughters, all that, because I know them that well and I care about them. And I can see things about them that, like their flaws, their imperfections. I can see things there that they wouldn't. In some cases, it's because I gave it to them. In other cases, because it's what fits, what matches. I mean, it's like the whole thing with Ed Whittick in that one video about having relationships with my stories. So that, because it sounds better than that I talk to my stories and they talk back. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. um, but I mean, yeah, sometimes some of that was the story defining these characters and me going along and agreeing with it. Again, I lost my train of thought slightly there, but it still is from that relationship because I know them very well. And it's like once that one idea came in, I knew immediately its full significance for the character. I know that I'm not defining things very well. I'm not explaining things very well here. But the point I'm trying to get at is because of my knowing these characters so well, my familiarity with these characters, I can see in them flaws that I may wish to avoid for myself. And I can also see in them virtues that I may want for myself. So there actually is one character in The Children of Many Gifts, Josh, if you read it, that I very much intended for him to be more of an ideal man. He's like, this is somebody who is strong in his convictions, but is very much a good man. Somebody that many people could look up to and want to be friendly with and all that. So he could stand as a contrast to certain things. But there were also certain things that he did. One in particular in chapter 22, I believe it is. I looked up. It should be that chapter. I haven't actually pulled up. I just have notes on what happens in different chapters, and it's like, if it's not chapter 22, it would be like 21. Anyway, there's one thing they did there, and it's one of those things where after I wrote that, it's like, I should be like that. And so, yeah, when you write a story, you can also have that experience as well, where you write a character that you're writing the character for the character even, but you may look at that character and be like, I want to be like that. That's who I want to be like. Now, by the way, I do have some notes on this. I do want to just look at them. They're not going to be that helpful. I've tried recording this video a few times. I'm not sure what I said in this one earlier, but this, by its nature, I think this video is best done off the cuff. But I still want to look through some of these because there's one point I just wanted to see if there was any other point near it that I also wanted to talk about. Okay, yes, that I should talk about. That I did forget about. So, one potential danger with some of what I'm saying here is writing a story for wish fulfillment purposes. At least for me, I reject that. I try not to write stories just to whatever the term is that you want. It's not like some sort of power fantasy or anything like that. Sure, I've got characters that are powerful. I mean, in both Failure and The Children of Many Gifts, Sam is immensely powerful. But he's powerful as a consequence of what his abilities are. Just the nature of them make him powerful. Not that, he's powerful, so he has these. No. It's a consequence of that. And actually, one thing going forward, after The Children of Many Gifts, a consequence of that is, of how powerful he is it not becoming can he do certain things, but should he do certain things? Because that does become a worthy question. But yeah, so I would say try to avoid wish fulfillment kind of stuff if possible, because that wishes are not real. That's part of the nature of wishes, that they're fantastic to begin with. So don't just try to have wishes come true unless you ground them. And part of the reason why I also say that is the first book I wrote that I don't recommend. It was kind of like that. I put it more as I've said plenty of times, I believe. My head was in the clouds. Yeah. So to a degree, there's wish fulfillment there, and the book is cheapened by that. It is reduced by that. I do want to rewrite that because I think the pieces of the story are good, but I put them together wrong because my head was in the clouds. There was an element of wish fulfillment, so maybe try to avoid that, because also it isn't like there's any character in there that I would even say I admire. Okay, I mean, it's like they might be neat, they might be cool, but would I want them as a friend? Would I want to hang out with them? Just generally, probably not. And maybe some of the main characters, but it's, like the main character. Would I want to hang out with him? Maybe, but it's like, yeah, see ya, whenever. I mean, maybe when I'm ready, it'll be better. But Sam I'd probably hang out with some more. Roman, definitely in A Letter from Catherine, I'd hang out with him. He's cool. because he's a bit more real. He isn't just something fantastical. So yeah. But now the other point that I wanted to get to, this is the one I remembered, the point I just shared about the wish fulfillment, trying to caution you about wish fulfillment. I had forgotten that one, but this point, one thing about me is I don't even know when I would have really thought about this. It may have been partly from writing the stories, but be careful with hero worship when you do this, which is kind of part of wish fulfillment. You don't just make these characters people that are your heroes. Because, it's like in real life, you can meet your heroes and really, really regret it because you may have built them up into something superhuman. You may have built them up to something because your head was in the clouds, to a little bit of a callback. Be careful with that. If you are potentially writing and hoping for having some kind of personal revelation, I guess would be a way to put it, about yourself by, writing this and seeing those flaws, seeing those virtues, and trying to adjust yourself based on that, adjust your own character based on those realizations. So for me, it's like, I know it's appropriate to admire a hero, but you need to remember they are still a person. So, like, even when I write a character, even if, they're meant to be a hero ultimately in it, they're still, my friend. So I know them, I know their imperfections. I also know their greatness. But they are still people, so they are still just characters that I can learn from, but also at the same time, they're characters that there might be some things where I want to reject. And if it's something that I realize, oh, that's also part of my own character, then I need to start working on rejecting that myself. So yeah, it's, just write it, because coming back to the full idea of the story, of the video, just write it. If you've got that idea for a story, just write it, because you may find personal revelations for yourself that will allow you to improve yourself, such as what I was just talking about, or you may find that it's giving you more technical skills, more practical skills that you can now use in professional ways. It's like, with LaTeX, I do use that in a professional environment after having used it for years in my writing. I'm not really sure. Is it amateur or semi-pro? I'm not sure. Anyway, but after years of that, now I'm using it here. And there's probably some other experiences as well. I taught myself Git however long ago for various other things. And now I use that in my writing. I incorporate it into my writing. So it's building up those skills, building up those experiences. They can be very valuable. So take the time and do it. And to be fair, maybe you do it and you don't like it. Maybe you just start writing that story, you're not happy with it. Well, maybe later you can come back, start over. But it still is, it's like you try, and you'll still learn some things and may still prove very valuable to you later on. So yeah, just, and also it doesn't have to be writing. It can be anything. It can be almost anything that you decide, that's what I want to try doing. Well, find a way to potentially do it cheaply. Not everything is accessible, at least not as accessible as writing. But, take the time, find the time, make the time, start working on it. And I would also say this, be sure you try to commit to it. By that I mean, yes, if you don't like how the story is going, feel free to stop. That's always going to be your decision. But I would say, even if you don't like how it's going, but you like part of it, you still like the idea, just try to get through what you're doing and get to the end. You should still try to commit to getting this stuff done. And the reason why is if you don't commit to it, then it's probably largely going to be a waste, because that means you're not focusing on it, you're not really getting through it. And it's like, what are your benefits going to be to you then? It's like going back to the wish fulfillment stuff. My head was in the clouds. It wasn't the right place to do some of that. Well, but I was still committed to writing the story. Well, if you're not committed to writing it, then how can your head be in the right spot to get anything out of it? Or, if... I'm just trying to think of the best way to put this, because it's like no one's going to look at it. But, it's like I built up this thing for taking a docx file, generating LaTeX stuff so I can very quickly and easily make it the PDF. Okay. And it's like using that as an example of commitment there. And I also have that connected up with Git so I can track changes to the text. Okay. and I'm slightly losing my train of thought here, please forgive me, but it's just, I'm committed all the way through to doing that. So if you're like, well, I'll just write it, but I'll never take it, think of it through to publishing. It's like, okay, I understand you deciding not to publish something, but don't give up. You don't be like, well, I'll never publish it, so I'm not going to really worry about it. It's like, no. Commit to trying to write the best story you can. Okay? Still commit to that, because that's where you're actually going to get benefits from. If it's kind of like the whole, if you start on a journey, but you're not committed to reaching the end, then when you give up and turn around, you probably gave up and turn around in the first mile. Whereas if you do commit to it, maybe you end up getting, if it's a 10-mile journey, let's just say, getting to mile 9, and that's where it's like, okay, you can't walk any further. Okay, but still, you got 9 miles versus, well, I'm already comfortable with giving up, so I only made it 1 and then turn back home. It's like, that's not going to help anyone. That's not going to help you. That's not going to be a benefit. So, if you are going to do this, and I do recommend you do, just whatever it is, just write it. Commit to it. Don't half-ass it, because you're not going to benefit from that, probably. So, it's a meandering video, I know. But as I said, I don't think that this video could have been anything but me just rambling. So, my apologies to those of you who have told me, and it is true. I know I need to keep these videos focused and lean and mean and all that. I know that. This just isn't one of those videos. Sorry. But hey, for those of you that are talking about, make sure you write to, have a script, do all that. And I'm not saying this to insult you. I'm not. Start writing your own scripts. Start your own YouTube videos. And it's like, you're right. You are right. So start doing it too. Seriously, do it. It'll be fun. It'll be awesome. All right. That's really all I got. So for those of you that maybe one of you does decide to do it, to just start doing it, best of luck. It doesn't need to be fast. Just have it be good for your standards. Get it to where you're satisfied with it. That's what matters most. And that is probably also, you get there, who knows how the stuff may impact you. Who knows what kind of benefits you'll get from that. Some will be obvious, some will be direct. Plenty won't be. Plenty will be indirect. Alright, I'll stop rambling now. See you next time.